outcomes that you're trying to achieve, then I'm afraid Parliament may need to reconsider these.
Can I just pick you up on one of the points you've made there about improving accuracy? One of the I've received, as I suspect a number of us have, quite a few sort of angry emails since we've been doing this inquiry. I'm just going to read extracts from a couple of them. I'm forwarding you case details. The Child Maintenance Service has been awarded a liability order for a fictitious debt. There are many thousands of cases like this one. And then another email. I've been requesting my personal information from the CSA CMS for the best part of 10 years relating to the unproven fictitious fabricated arrears and so on. In your report, I noticed you put the figure of 99.35% on the accuracy of the child maintenance calculations. Are you satisfied that the large number of people saying that there is a fictitious debt are mistaken, that actually if the Child Maintenance Service is pursuing a debt, then it's almost certainly accurate?
No, we're not satisfied with that. The reason being, as I understand your correspondence there, are talking about historic debt. The National Audit Office and the Comptroller and Auditor General has qualified the accounts for what is essentially the CSA, the 1992 and 2002 accounts, ever since it was created. And there remains debt on that account, which the Child Maintenance Service continues to pursue. That number has come down considerably because essentially there was a debt write-off policy from 2018. When we last looked at this, the last set of accounts, and we're currently auditing the new set now, so March 2021, it was 310 million that was outstanding. We put an adverse opinion on that, so that is as strong as an auditor can. We're saying we do not believe that that is the correct number, and that there are, we wouldn't necessarily use the word fictitious. However, it does mean that people are being pursued for debts that there is not the evidence to substantiate that they owe. That goes back a long way. It's to do with the interim assessments that the Child Support Agency issued for people, where essentially they would say, we think you owe this, come to us with the evidence to prove how much you should owe. People did not come with the evidence, so those interim assessments stayed on the file. And in fact, this committee at the time documented that very well.
Right. So if they're old debts, they could well be fictitious. But in terms of recent assessments, you're pretty confident that they are...
Yes, so in terms of recent assessments, we are pretty confident that there is a less than 1% error rate. The reason for that is because the new system is designed essentially to rely much more heavily on existing records, and in particular people's tax record. So the rules essentially say, if that's what the tax statement says, this is the information you can use. That makes it much harder to get it wrong. I think in some of the correspondence I've read, and we had a lot of correspondence, my latest was just this morning I was reading on this. I think people have an expectation that should I call it fidelity to their circumstances. So a lot of receiving parents will say, such and such, my ex has a house and they've had a car and I know they've got all of this, so why are you giving them that assessment? And the CMS will say, well, actually we've assessed this correctly because this is the information we've got that relies on the tax record. And of course, they are confusing capital there and income. It's people's income that it's assessed on, not whether or not they have a house or a car. There is the opportunity for the either of the parent, but let's face it, it will be the receiving parent, to ask for additional income to be taken into account. So earnings income is coming through the RTI feed. As you know, this is the same feed that feeds the universal credit system, coming through payroll. That's very, very easy for CMS to get right. Where people have more complicated arrangements, perhaps they're self-employed, perhaps they're paid through dividends or so on, that's where it gets more complicated. That's where you'll see error. and it having to be referred to their financial investigation unit. And that's why we think that 1%, well, is 0.67% in the last set of accounts, but I'm going to call it 1% because I think it will fluctuate up and down within that 1%. We don't think that 1% is going to be possible to eliminate because of those sort of complicated cases. But they are, we've actually been quite impressed with the effort they've done to really drive down and target improvements.
Nigel Mills.